You're listening to the Future Tech Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies such as artificial intelligence, stem cells, 3D printing, gene editing, Bitcoin, blockchain, the microbiome, quantum computing, virtual reality, and exploring space are much closer than you might think. In fact, many early versions of these technologies are in play right now, and the companies that are using these technologies are the focus of this podcast. My goal for you, the listener, is to learn from these podcasts. You may very well learn something that may change the course of your life for the better, steer you towards a new career, or give you insight into addressing a thorny medical problem. Remember, this podcast and its content is informational in nature only. No medical, tax, legal, financial, or psychological advice is being given. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please listen, subscribe, like, and tell your friends about it. Thank you. Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Future Tech Podcast. I have Guirec, the co-founder of URGOTech. Website is URGONight.com. Did I say your name right, Guirec? Or is it a better way to say it?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, Guirec.
Okay, good. So tell me about the product URGONight. What does it do?
Well, basically the idea is that what if we could train your brain to help you sleep better? You have to know that in the world, you have 1 people out of 3 that suffer from sleep problems. That means everyone either is suffering from sleep problems or knows someone who does. So it affects everyone. And when you ask them about what's the burden of not sleeping well, of course, people will tell you about the night. It's hard to fall asleep. It's when you wake up, you feel like you're never going to fall asleep again. But the worst part, the most difficult part, is usually about the day. If you have, for instance, a very important meeting, or after the work, your families, your kids are expecting you to spend time and being available for them, and you wake up and you're already super tired from not having slept correctly during the night, it's going to be a very, very difficult day for you. And that's the most difficult part. Usually people who don't sleep well, they're going to tell you it's the day is the worst part. So basically,
I've had my share of sleep problems, so yeah, I'd like to be able to train that brain to sleep better.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, being an entrepreneur myself, you can imagine that it's very important to be focused and available during the day, and the stress can make you sleep pretty bad at night. So it's kind of a tricky problem you want to solve. So what do you do when you have these kind of issues? Where usually what you do is try to get an appointment with a specialist, a sleep doctor, which is pretty hard to get given the small number of those doctors that are specialized in sleep. Once you get to this appointment, usually the doctor is going to make a diagnosis of your state and going to build for you the best treatment you can have. And amongst all the treatment that you can get, you have one which has been proven to be very efficient. It's called neurofeedback centers, where you need to be in those centers where they're going to help you train your brain to sleep better. But to get to those centers, you need to be very lucky because there are very few numbers of those centers. It's very hard to get there because you have a long waiting list. And once you get there, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to follow the treatment because you need to go there 3 times a week. So usually it's a few miles away from home. So you need to drive there back and forth. They're going to use those big machines to help you see in your brain and help you train your brain to in order for you to protect better your sleep. So you have those big screens on which you don't really understand what's happening. You need to wear electrodes, so they're going to put some gel in the hair. So afterwards, you need to take a shower, so you cannot go back, for instance, directly to work. And you need to have a doctor scientist sitting next to you to being able to explain to you what you need to do and give you feedback on your exercises. So what we tried to do with URGONight is imagine a world where you could benefit from this treatment that has been scientifically and clinically proven to be super efficient, but without having to drive 3 times a week a few miles. What if you could do it at home? without having to take a shower afterwards. What if it was convenient enough so that it's not wetting your hair and you can do it even at work during the break? What if it was so easy to use that you didn't need a PhD in infographics to be able to understand how it works? And what if it was convenient enough so that you didn't need to have a full-time doctor sitting next to you to explain to you what you need to do? So that's really the world we try to imagine with URGOTech. Spend a lot of time to make that technology very, very simple, very, very convenient, so that people can use it and be motivated during the treatment and benefit from it all around the States.
Okay, well, it's a good premise. So let's get into how it works.
Right. So the technology in itself, it's a training. So it's a daytime training. You do it during the day, whenever you want, exactly like in those sleep centers. So it's a 15 to 20 minutes training, and you can do it in the morning, in the afternoon, whenever you have time. And it's going to it comes with a headband, which is the device and it's going to measure your brain activity, and an app which is going to give you the feedback and advice on how you progress. So you wear the headband, it's going to measure your brain activity. So your brain all the time emits brain waves, and some of those, they are specific to the sleep protection. And studies have shown that the people who lack the ability to produce those waves, they are the same who have sleep problems. So that's the reason why you want to be able to produce more of those waves specific related to the sleep protection. So how are you going to do it? So basically you're going to wear the headband, going to measure when you succeed in producing those waves, and the app is going to give you a feedback. So it's like a little game where you earn points every time you succeed in producing the waves you want to train. It's a two-step process. So at the beginning, you say, okay, I'm wearing the headband, I'm looking at the app. What do I have to do, me, to be able to produce more of those waves to earn points? So the app is
what kind of brain waves? What do you mean? And what stage of sleep?
Well, when you sleep, your brain is going to emit waves that are called spindles, and they are responsible basically for shutting down your brain from the external environment. If you did not emit those waves, every time you would have a little noise, a little bit of light, whatever external disturbance you can get, you would wake up. So that's why your brain, when you sleep, is shutting itself down, not entirely, but at least a little bit, from the environment so that you can sleep and not wake up during the night. So that's why I call them the sleep protection brainwaves, because they are responsible for protecting your sleep. And that's why you want during the day, so you don't emit those waves during the day. They are specific to the night, but they are linked to some waves you emit during the day. It's called SMR. So basically what the study have shown is that by training those SMR brainwaves during the day, during the daytime training, you improve your quality of sleep. In those sleep centers, the studies have shown that you can improve by 53% the time you wake up during the night by doing this kind of training.
Well, wait, okay, so what's the theory here, though? Is that you train during the day and you're trying to produce brain waves as if you're sleeping? Well, what would that do to you while you're doing the training? Would it make you tired or put you to sleep? And why would that affect you at night?
That's basically what you want to do, is teach your brain to know how to do to produce those waves. So everyone will have a different strategy to succeed in doing that. For me, it is to put myself into a bubble and shut myself from the external environment. That's when I look at the app wearing the headband, that's when I earn points. That's when the headset is telling me, yes, you are producing those waves that you want to train to help your brain sleep better. For different people, it would be different strategies. Can be meditation, can be letting your mind drift away. Everyone is going to have a different strategy, and you need to find at the beginning what is your own strategy that works for you. So the app gives you advice on those strategies you can try. You try them, you look at the app, and when you earn points, you found the strategy that works for you. So that's the first step of the treatment, is really answering the question you're asking, which is what do I have to do in order to be able to produce those waves.
Okay, again, you're creating these waves during the day. What do people experience while they're doing the training? What do they feel like? And then what happens to them at night that changes?
Well, at first you find the strategies, then you train them repeatedly 3 times a week. And after 1 month, so more or less after 10 sessions, you start feeling the first effects. You are going to fall asleep faster. The studies have shown on this kind of training that you can fall asleep 40% faster when you do the training, and you're going to wake up less during the night. Once again, the studies have shown that with this kind of training, you improve by 53% the time you wake up during the night. So after 1 month, 10 sessions more or less, you feel the first effects. And after 4 months, that's when you start experiencing the full effect of the training. What do you feel during the training is exactly the same that you feel when you train for anything. You're going to feel tired, not because you're practicing to fall asleep. You're going to feel tired because your brain is tired of learning something. So it's exactly like any kind of training.
Where you don't feel sleepy, you don't feel like you're meditating and your mind is not exactly aware of what's going on. I mean, it sounds odd because if you produce these waves during sleep and these waves are supposed to, shut your brain down partially, why wouldn't it have the same effect if you're doing it during the day?
There are two the waves that are going to help you shut your brain from the external environment. The spindles, those you can only produce during the night. They are specific to the night time. You don't produce them during the day. What we believe is that because the studies have shown by training the SMR, which is a different kind of wave, you are going to improve your sleep quality. So what scientists believe is that there is a link between the same mechanism from your brain. If your brain knows how to produce SMR, most likely you will know how to protect your sleep during the night.
Okay, and what do people experience that have done the training, over a month's time? What happens to them when they go to sleep? Do they fall asleep faster? Do they stay asleep longer? Do they dream more? What happens?
Well, the URGOTech is we've taken an existing and proven technique that exists in some sleep centers. It's been there for 20 years. So the great thing about it is that they've done a lot of studies to show that it works. So to answer your question, we can look at the studies, and when you look at them, what they show is that you reduce by 40% the time you need to fall asleep, and you improve by 53% the time you're going to wake up during the night. So you wake up half during the night.
So what? Okay. Do people have to do the training right as they're going to sleep, or they just lay there and they'll automatically fall asleep faster?
You have to do the training whenever it's convenient for you. It doesn't have to be right before you go to sleep. It can be in the morning. It can be during the lunchtime. Whenever you have 15 minutes available for you, when you can relax and really dedicate time to the training.
No, I know you can do the training anytime, but let's say I've been doing the training. What happens when I lay down to go to sleep? Do I have to activate the training in my mind? Do I have to think a certain way or do anything special, or I just lay there and I'll happen to fall asleep faster?
Yeah. It's basically like a muscle. You train the muscle to be more efficient, and your brain is like a muscle, can be trained. And once it's more efficient, you don't need to think about it. It's just trained to protect your sleep and help you sleep better.
Okay, so your body just knows what to do because you trained it. You lay down just like you do normally, turn out the light, and you happen to fall asleep faster.
Exactly. Basically, you've trained your brain to regain something you had before. You knew how to sleep before. But usually you've lost your quality of sleep because you had a big stress or anything in your life. And that's when you start waking up during the night, for instance. So you need to train your brain to be able to protect again back your sleep like it was before. So that's what we're doing with URGOTech. It helps you train your brain to sleep better. So you don't have to think about it. It's just trained and it's going to help you sleep better in a normal way.
So what was it like for you to do the training? And what was it like for, what did you experience doing the training? And then what did you experience when you lay down to sleep at night now?
It's a very good question. First of all, during the training, I felt the first sessions were the most intriguing / interesting. During the very first session that I've done, at the beginning, I did not understand what I was supposed to do. It was very disturbing because I was looking at the screen, was winning points sometimes I was not winning points. And it took me 2 or 3 sessions to really understand and get the connection, feel the connection between what I was doing and what I needed to do when I was earning points. And making that connection in only 2 or 3 sessions was very powerful for me to understand that I could actually have an impact on my brain by doing something, that I understood what I had to do. So that was a really, really interesting moment for me. Then after that, and so I had to train, so I was doing it again and again and again. And it was kind of fun because there was at the time we were testing it on several people, and after a month or so, because you earn points and at the end of sessions you know how many points you have. It was fun for me to compare the points that I had at the end of the session to the points that people who were starting the training would get. And then I would realize that I had progressed and I was actually earning more points that the ones that were starting the training at the time were getting. So it was great for me as well to see that improvement. In terms of quality of sleep, I'm a pretty good sleeper at the beginning. But you also have studies that show when you sleep good, that you can still improve your sleep and fall asleep faster. And that's the sensation that I had, that it was easier for me to fall asleep, and that my sleep in some way was more protected, that I would wake up less during the night or be less sensitive. For instance, before, I could not sleep with the light on. That was something that was impossible for me. I was too sensitive to that. And now it's much easier for me, and I can do it without waking up during the night.
Well, that's good. What about taking naps? Do you have any feedback from people that they're able to take naps when they couldn't before? The reason why I ask is that, a lot of people suggest, okay, if you're going to take a nap, don't sleep any longer than like 20, 30 minutes. Otherwise, you'll get sleep inertia. So if you can train and fall asleep faster, then you won't lay there for 15 of the 30 minutes not being able to sleep and say, damn it, I can't take a nap.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is true that naps can help you, especially if you do a 15 to 20 minutes nap. You're going to get a lot of energy. So you succeed in doing that, even though if you had a bad night, the nap can save your day. And I have a lot of sleep doctors, because we talk to them a lot to validate and design the products, that are very enthusiastic about the power of naps. To answer your question, is URGOTech helping me fall asleep faster for the naps? We don't have the data, and we haven't been asking that question to the people who have tried it. It's a good question.
I would ask it to them because that's another way to show off your product. Not only does it help you sleep at night, but now, hopefully if it works, which I think it will, people can take naps easier when they couldn't before, which will be very useful to a lot of people,
It's a great point. It surely will ask the questions to people trying the device, definitely.
Yeah, no problem. So what other kinds of feedback have you gotten besides your standard, like, oh, I fall asleep faster, or what kind of feedback have you gotten from users that surprised you or you thought was really cool or unusual?
Well, we had, for me, what was really important when we designed URGOTech, since in a way the technology was already there because it already existed in some sim centers. For me, what was the most important was to make it very convenient and very simple and very motivating for the patients, because those are the keys for the treatment to be efficient. So we spent a lot of time making the device attractive, making it very comfy, making the app very simple and very motivating through the little games that we designed. And we've been designing that both with doctors to make sure and validate that what we are doing is scientifically and clinically validated, and with patients to make sure that the headset would be comfortable and the app would be easy to understand and the game would be motivating. And the feedbacks that we get now are great and amazing for us, because they are really the recognition of all the work that we put in URGOTech. First of all, when they see the product and they touch it, people tell us that the design is really great. It's really a nice product when you look at it. It's a beautiful and well-designed product, and we spent a lot of time on that. Second, when they put it on, they instantly say two things. First is that it's very easy to put on. You don't have to adjust it to make sure that the electrodes will fall at the right place. The design will make sure that whenever you put it on, it's always going to fit the right place. And second, and it surprises them because when you see the electrodes, you have a feeling before you're going to put the headset that it can hurt a little bit. And when they put it on, they say, wow, it's amazing how comfortable it is, how sustainable it is, how comfy it is, and how much I feel that I can wear it for those 15 to 20 minutes easily to perform the training. And one thing that is for me great as well is when they start using it. So they obviously for the first session they are like you. They say, okay, what do I have to do? I don't understand. It's kind of weird. And then when you push them to the second and the third session and they start understanding what they have to do and the link between what they do and the points that they earn, they start to be really, really motivated and they want to do it again and more and more. And when, for instance, you're training a group, you have 2 to 3 people doing the training at the same time in the room, they start comparing the score and they start, competing a little bit between each other. So it drives motivation and passion about the product, which was, for me, is great because this is what is going to make it efficient because they feel passionate about it, they like it, they are motivated. So that's why they're going to do it for 3 times a week during those 10 to 40 sessions in order to feel the effect and sleep better at the end.
Okay, very good. So what other training do you want to integrate into the device? What else would be helpful for sleep or for other, is there a meditation that's going to be integrated with the brainwave training or, where else are you going to take this?
Well, in the app, we have part of the app is dedicated to helping you find the right strategy to produce those waves we want you to train. So we are integrating at the moment in the app those advice that's going to help you find the right strategy for you, which could be meditation, which could be letting your mind drift away. It can be as well, for me, to put myself into a bubble and try to shut myself from the external environment. So those are features we're adding to the app. And I think we're going to continuously update and improve those features as we get feedbacks from the people using it and telling us what was the best strategy for them. So that's why we want to be really strong on the community and engaging with the people that are going to use URGONITE and improve the product all the time from all the feedback that they're going to give us, so that the experience and the motivation through the treatment is only going to get better.
So is it available for Android and iOS? And is the whole product ready to use, or is it in beta right now?
It will be available on both platforms, iOS and Android. We will launch URGONITE in the US in 2020. And for those who want to have it beforehand, before the others, we will do a pre-launch campaign on Indiegogo.com in May. So if you want to be part of the adventure and have URGONITE before everyone else, you should subscribe on our website on URGONITE.com. You enter your email address, and we will send you an email when it's available for the pre-launch, and people can get a 50% discount.
That's great. Okay. Very good. That's coming in May. So you have that link ready for the campaign, or is it not live yet? It won't be till May?
The campaign is not live yet, but if you go on URGONITE.com now, the website is on and you can register on our website.
And why is it called URGONITE? Where did the name come from?
Well, URGONITE, it's the night because we improve your sleep. And Ergo is because we are a startup, so we are in a way that we are small and we have a vision on how we want to transform the way we are going to help people get better. But we also have a very unique chance is being integrated in a big French healthcare group, which is named URGO. And Ergo is number 2 in Europe in the advanced wound care market. So they're treating chronic wounds. So it helps us having a very long-term vision. We know we can be funded on the very long term, and we will be there for many years in order to develop and improve our products for the people we're going to help.
Well, very good. Well, Guirec, thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for the interview. It was great taking the time with you today, and really enjoyed it. So thank you so much.
You're listening to the Future Tech Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies such as artificial intelligence, stem cells, 3D printing, gene editing, Bitcoin, blockchain, the microbiome, quantum computing, virtual reality, and exploring space are much closer than you might think. In fact, many early versions of these technologies are in play right now, and the companies that are using these technologies are the focus of this podcast. My goal for you, the listener, is to learn from these podcasts. You may very well learn something that may change the course of your life for the better, steer you towards a new career, or give you insight into addressing a thorny medical problem. Remember, this podcast and its content is informational in nature only. No medical, tax, legal, financial, or psychological advice is being given. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please listen, subscribe, like, and tell your friends about it. Thank you.